Preparing to live stream. And okay. Look at that. The technology worked. Okay. So well, we're going to start by going around, and not everyone here knows each other yet. So we'll go around and everyone can share their name and something that they're grateful for today. And also if your student book arrived yet. Let's start with Mike. Good to see you. It's been a few years.
Hello, Rabbi. It has been quite a few, yeah. Well, Baruch Hashem, you look well. Hello, everybody. My name is Mike Seid. I live out in Los Angeles. I had the pleasure of studying some Tanya with our Rav when he was not yet a Rav, I suppose. Yeah, I saw the course invitation, got very excited for it, and I don't know if my book has arrived. I had the book sent to my father's place, so I'll get it on Shabbos.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you, Mike. And you have the PDF, right?
Yeah, thank you.
Perfect. Okay, Brett, what's your name?
Brett Singer, also
And what are
known
you
as
grateful for
Bela
today?
Esther. Pardon me?
What are you grateful for today?
I'm grateful that I was able to tune this in properly.
Good, very good, Bela Esther. And Hannah, what's your name?
I'm Ann Slakowski. I live from Cedarhurst, New York. I did not print the PDF because I couldn't find the link, but I'll make do. Grateful. I had Baruch Hashem, a great day. I was off from work today because I worked Sunday, and it was just nice to have a day. So
Great, very good. I am going to send you a link right now in the chat.
Perfect.
And that will bring it up for you. Send. Okay. If anybody does not yet have their book, you can click on that link and it'll show you a PDF. You can click download.
Perfect.
Or whatever you'd like. Lisa, and thank you, Hannah. Glad to hear you had a day off.
I'm Lisa
Lisa
Zalis, and I am in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And I just love attending these courses. I love learning about our heritage and Torah. And I'm grateful to be able to begin another course.
Awesome. Thank you, Lisa. And I'm not sure why we're not able to see you. We see Isaac.
I
I'm not sure if that's how you wanted it.
Yeah. I'm kind of laid out in bed.
Okay, perfect.
Nobody needs
He's
to
got a
see
nice
that.
smile on. Jim. Oh, good to see you.
Hey there. So I'm working, so gotta mute.
Okay. I hope you enjoy. Great to see you, Jim. And Julie.
Hello, Rabbi. My name is Julie Harris Dursey. I live in Homestead, Florida. And I'm grateful I made it to the gym today. And I'm grateful that I got my book just in time for the class.
Okay, perfect. Very good. My name is Rabbi Shmuley, and I am grateful that the kids went to sleep on time so I could be here on time. And Baruch Hashem for that. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our new thrilling course. For those of you who have been here already, you know that we always start with a bad joke, because from there, it can only get better. So there is a woman, and she wakes up her husband in the morning, and she says, honey, I had this dream that you bought me a pair of diamond earrings. What do you think that means? And the husband says, well, you'll find out tonight. She gets back from work, and her husband has this box, and it's wrapped up in wrapping paper with a bow on it, and she's getting really excited, could it be? And she opens it up, and inside is a book called The Meaning of Dreams. There's another joke. This one is more connected to the lesson. and your job is going to figure out what the connection is. It's pretty, you'll see it. My uncle went to see the Titanic, and he kept telling everyone that it would sink. He was just going on and on, screaming and shouting, the boat's going to sink, the boat's going to sink. Eventually, they threw him out of the cinema. And the true story I heard from my friend, some guy came knocking on their shul and asked the rabbi, said to the rabbi, I had a dream last night. God told me I should come to the shul and you will give me money. So the rabbi said, when you have a dream that God tells you to come and give me money, we'll talk. Okay, so what are dreams? And before we're going to give a short introduction to the entire course itself. I've given many, many courses, taught many, many lessons. And this is really different than anything I've done before. We've taught science from a Jewish perspective. We've taught ethics, we've taught morals, we've taught Torah, we've taught the Gemara, we've taught Chumash. But this is something very different because this is going to be delving deep into things that are beyond the regular, things that are the metaphysical, the supernatural, the superstitious. What is the uniquely Jewish approach to all of these things? Astrology, astronomy, etc. So the next 4 weeks, we're going to engage in dream interpretation, astrological reading, astrological reading, curse slaying, and ghost busting. And this is going to be a wild ride. It's going to be very exciting. Buckle up. There's going to be a lot of information that we're not going to cover in the course, a lot of extra reading for you, a lot of extra videos and articles for you to read through on your own if you'd like to for extra information. The link for that will be sent out in an email, Be'ezras Hashem, tomorrow morning. Here's what to expect. A few housekeeping things before we start. The Zoom information is going to be the same information each week. Every Wednesday, I try to send out an email Wednesday morning with the information for that night, and Thursday morning with a recap and the link to the recording in case you missed it or want to watch it again. Other than that, if you have any questions, always welcome to pop in and ask. This is engaging. This is interactive. Some of the best discussions happen from the questions. If you have a question, a comment, or an answer, please unmute yourself, jump in. And I think we are ready. Hello, Leib Maisha.
Hello, Rabbi.
Hi,
I
Lloyd
hope that your
Worship.
appointment went well.
Hello.
Okay, so today's session, we're going to deal with dreams and their meaning. Some of the questions we're going to touch on are, do dreams have significance? Can dreams tell the future? How can we interpret dreams? What do nightmares mean? How can we intentionally guide our dreams? And those are some of the things we are going to touch on in today's epic discussion. Let us begin. We're going to begin with a poll. Before we start with the dreams, I want to ask you a few general questions. You can either put a thumbs up, thumbs down, raise of your hand, or shout into the mic. Do you believe in the paranormal?
No,
We got some yeses, we got some nos. Okay. Do you believe in spiritual energy?
Yes.
yes,
Okay. Do you believe in psychics?
no,
Okay, mixed on that one. Do you believe in ghosts and spirits?
no.
Yes.
I mean, ghosts, no. Spirits, yes.
Okay.
You're splitting
Okay.
hairs.
Sorry? Leib Moshe, what did you say?
I said she's splitting hairs between ghosts and spirits.
Between ghosts and spirits, right? What do they say? Anyone who doesn't believe in ghosts has never been to a family reunion?
Huh.
Do you believe in communication with the dead?
No,
Maybe.
No,
Yes,
They
no, maybe. You know what
communicate
they
to
say if you
us.
speak. Sorry?
I feel like they can communicate to us, but we can't really communicate to them.
Okay. You know, what do they say? If you speak to God, you're spiritual. If you hear him answering, you're Meshuggah. Okay. Do you believe in dream interpretation?
Yes.
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 Okay. Do you believe in reincarnation?
no,
Maybe. Jury's out.
No.
Yes, no, maybe. Okay. Do you believe in astrology? That the stars hold meaning in life?
no,
No.
No.
No. Okay. Do you believe in life on other planets?
No.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, never mind. Yes.
Yes, no. Okay, so we got a lot of mixed answers there, but we got some yeses on everything, some no's on a lot of them. So many of us seem to believe in at least some of these phenomena. And before we go into our next question, I want to ask you, were there any questions that you came into this that you were hoping would be addressed?
I don't believe in supernatural, so
I was
Yeah.
I was very curious about the whole dream aspect because my father used to have certain dreams and he would interpret them and then they'd come true. Or my mother actually had a dream where she had breast cancer at the time and she was dancing with a bunch of dead relatives and she wasn't dancing. They wanted her to come dance and she said no, and she survived. I was talking to a friend. His mother had that exact same dream. She went to dance and she ended up dying of breast cancer. This is when I was young. And ever since then, I've always been very fascinated by dreams.
Okay, okay. Thank you
That's
for
really-
sharing that. That is incredible.
I know the Torah or the Midrash or has a take on reincarnation, and
That's after Mashiach comes.
we're supposed to be able to come back up to 3 times. Maybe if we don't get it right the first 2 times, we might get sent back as a do-over. I'm interested in learning more about that. And there is something going on with Hashem making things happen that are miraculous. And I'm interested in if that's going to be touched on at all, if there's any crossover.
Any crossover? You're saying reincarnation or the miraculous part?
Just miracles, everyday miracles, things
Okay.
that have happened in my life where the odds were completely stacked against me many times. like 12 impossible things had to happen for this one thing to happen.
Okay.
My
Okay,
ex, you
good,
talked
good,
about,
good.
you mentioned communicating with the dead. My ex-wife used to have dreams where she would communicate with dead relatives. She had a dream about my grandparents, my father's parents, and described my father's mother, who passed away in 1965, to a T, and she communicated with her in the dream.
Okay,
So I have no explanation for that.
okay. Good, good, good stuff. We're going to touch on a lot, if not all of this. Any other questions before we start? Okay, if
I
any other
have-
questions? Oh, yeah,
I
yes.
have dreams about like my mom and my brother in my dreams. But when I wake up, either I forget what it was about, but I was in it, I was in the dream with them, or I'll remember, but then it's gone. So I don't know how to interpret dreams at all.
Okay, good. Yes, we are going to touch on that. And I hope to answer all of your questions, some of them tonight, some of them over the next four sessions. And if any other questions come up, please do jump in. We're going to start today with a fascinating story about, you guessed it, the Titanic. We're going to focus on dreams now. And I want to tell you a little story that there was one time a ship, a big ship, and it went in the ocean and it did not make it out of the ocean. The name of that ship was
The Titanic.
the Titanic. Very good. So I want you to read something about a guy who wrote a book. Text number 1. Do we have a volunteer who would like to read text number 1 for us?
Sure.
Okay, Mike, go for it. Please take it away. Text number 1.
All right. 43-year-old first-class passenger Isaac Froenthal was a lawyer from Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, with a practice in New York City. boarding the liner with his brother, 49-year-old Dr. Henry Froenthal, and the doctor's 42-year-old wife, Clara. Isaac Froenthal was a little trepidatious as he boarded the Titanic that evening. He had a dream shortly before sailing which had disturbed him. In the dream, he seemed to be on a, quote, big steam ship, which suddenly crashed into something and began to go down. He didn't pay much attention to the dream as he was, quote, not at all superstitious or given to belief in the supernatural. However, when the dream was repeated before he boarded the ship, it gave him pause for thought and he became a little worried. Froenthal hadn't told his brother or sister-in-law about the dreams by the time the trio boarded the ship, perhaps thinking himself a little foolish for his nervousness. Still, he couldn't shake the unsettled feeling.
Okay. How do you feel about that story?
Me? Or in general?
You can go first.
I feel like, as per scripture, often warnings are communicated to us in our dream, in our non-waking life, and it seems like in certain occasions we would be best to heed them.
Okay.
Certainly repeated dreams, per Pharaoh.
Okay. Okay. Good. Good. Very good. So, do you guys think that Isaac's dream was a premonition?
Well, he got on the ship. He ignored the dream, so we know what happened to him and his brother and his brother's wife.
So the truth is, I'm going to tell you the end of the story soon. But what do you think? What do you think? I mean, what would happen if you had a dream like that before traveling? Would you cancel your travel plans?
I would have gotten on the ship in a minute. I would be like, oh, I'm just being nervous for no reason. I wouldn't have thought of it as anything, a premonition, especially when it was the Titanic. It was unsinkable before it went. So,
And there's pressures from, your traveling companions. It's been planned for however long, and what would they think? And you do consider what, other people would think you're foolish. And you consider, oh, I'm just being foolish. But for me, I would not enjoy that cruise from moment one because of this dreams.
Right. So it's a funny question to ask, because it's not a random question. Like if I would have asked you, like, some random Joe who had a dream before he went on an airplane. And I'm sure that there are thousands of people who are traveling every day that before they traveled, they had a scary dream about an airplane. Or before they drove, they had a scary dream about a car crash. And they're fine. So it happens to be that we picked a perfect story, because in his story, the Titanic crashed and went down. So, yeah, we know the end of the story is that the Titanic sunk. But was that dream a prophecy? Was that dream nonsense?
Apparently, it was a prophecy.
What about all the other people who were nervous before they traveled, and they had dreams like this and nothing happened?
to me, it was a manifestation of anxiety, like just of a normal issue that with life, especially back then,
but
it wasn't so
persistent.
often to travel.
But it was a persistent dream. He had it on multiple occasions.
Okay, he had it on multiple occasions. Good, we're gonna get to that soon. Okay, so
Was
it happens to be.
Was it not a navigational issue where somebody wasn't paying attention and the ship headed into the iceberg?
It could be.
But otherwise,
I don't remember all the details. One thing I heard once, which I thought was very profound. Someone once said, and I don't know if this is true or not, but it's very profound. He said the reason the Titanic went down is because they wrote on the side of it, "Even God can't sink this boat."
oh, wow.
And I thought that was profound.
Just again.
As soon as you believe all that much in yourself, we have an issue. So,
Well, I would have gone on a plane, on a train, on a cruise. I would have gone because anything can happen anywhere you go. I could walk and cross the street and get hit by a car. You
That's
never
true.
know.
That is very, very true. Okay, so the end of the story is that this guy was, nervous. He happened to be one of the survivors, and I'll tell you why. because he was a little bit nervous, but he decided, he's going to push the dream away, and he boarded the ship and he went on. As soon as the ship, what's the history is that, as far as I understand, the ship hit and water started coming in, but nobody paid attention to it because they were all too involved in the amenities, and they were so taken with the belief that this ship is not going to go down. So when rescue boats started coming, and they had their lifeboats, a certain amount of 1,000, 1,200 lifeboats that they did have, a lot of people said, "Nah, why are you getting off? You're crazy." They were, in the pool or whatever they were, enjoying the amenities, playing cards or what have you, and they didn't take heed. And it was only once the ship broke, once it was already so full of water and it actually broke, that was when people were really realized that no, this is going down. And by that point, it was already too late for most of them. So as soon as it hit something and the lifeboat started getting ready, he was on the first lifeboat. He said, "I saw, like, it happened once, it happened twice. This is the third time I'm out." So I don't know what happened to his brother and sister-in-law. I'm going to assume that he grabbed them with him. But he used this dream, as he didn't change his plans. But as soon as he saw something going wrong, he paid attention to it, and it did end up saving his life. So let me ask you a pointed question. How do you determine whether you take your dreams seriously or not?
I have to say, I've never had that type of dream.
Okay, so you don't take your dreams seriously.
I don't remember dreams.
Okay.
I used to remember all my dreams until I went on a certain medicine I had to go on. And as I told you, Rabbi, I keep having dreams that take place in Jewish settings. And I asked
Okay, we're
you,
going to get to that. We're going to get
Well-
to that today.
okay, so I'll let you talk.
Okay, good.
I do not believe I have any prophetic abilities.
Okay.
I don't feel like I sleep deep enough to dream, but when I do, it's like completely bizarre. Like it doesn't even make sense. So that you have to like sit there. Like I remember my father always told me, you have to interpret a dream for good and only tell your dreams to somebody who's going to interpret them for good. So I've always told my kids, tell me the dream and I make it into this wonderful, beautiful thing. So in my head, I have this bizarre dream and it becomes this wonderful story. So
Good. Those are 2 points. I don't know if we were going to mention them or not, but yes, a dream, if you're going to interpret it for good and tell it to someone who loves you, is going to give you a good interpretation. Very good. Mike.
I would just say, I mean, I try to pay very close attention to my dreams and try to record them every morning. And so I try to pay some attention to them. And in my experiences, the ones that have proven prophetic feel different than the ones that are just anxiety dreams. Like we all have anxiety dreams that we haven't studied for the test, or we're on the plane and the plane's going down. And those are just like, they feel they're garden variety, just sort of worry, you're worried about your life dreams. But I've had several that felt upon the experience that they were different. And I awakened with the sense that something very significant had transpired and I would be best to pay attention to it. So I think there are gradations of, at least in my experience,
Okay, so you're
dreams.
saying it depends how it feels.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. So these are all very good, very real, and very relevant questions, and we got to get some answers to them. So the first place we're going to go is, if we want to look at the Jewish perspective on something, what's the first place we're going to look?
Torah.
The Torah. Okay, dreams are no exception. So what are some famous dreams in the Torah?
Joseph's dreams.
Joseph's dreams.
Yaakov's ladder.
Yaakov's ladder.
Pharaoh's dreams, obviously.
Paro's dreams. Pharaoh.
I see you've got Avimelech there. Those are big.
Avimelech's dreams, yeah. Okay, so half of Genesis is pretty much, half of the book of Bereshit is pretty much like based on dreams. So we got some dreams. So let's look at a little bit at some of these dreams. You have you have a chart of the dreams with the basic details over there in the workbook that you can read over later if you'd like to. We're going to look at some of the dreams, some of the details of them, and we're going to come out with 3 big lessons about dreams from the Torah. So we're going to start with Pharaoh's dreams. And Pharaoh had 2 dreams. The first dream was there were 7 skinny cows that ate the 7 robust cows, and they stayed skinny. Second dream was there were 7 skinny ears of grain that swallowed up the 7 healthy ears of grain, and then they remained skinny as before. And those were Pharaoh's 2 dreams. What happened after those dreams?
There was famine.
So before there was famine,
Well,
he
he
called
asked
in all
for
of his
interpretation.
advisors.
Nobody could interpret him. Yeah.
And nobody could interpret it. And then finally the butler said, oh yeah, we also have the dreams of the butler and the baker in the dungeon. The butler says, oh, I remember 2 years ago there was this kid, this Jewish kid, and he was great at interpreting dreams. So Pharaoh brings him out, and Joseph gives him the whole rundown, tells him what's going to happen, and that's what happened. He became the financial advisor, the second in command of the entire country, because he was the wisest of all the men that Pharaoh could find. And so what happened over here? You had a dream which held matters of national security, national importance. That was a dream. It was a dream. And had they not heeded to the dream, who knows what would have happened? So this is our first big idea about dreams. The first big idea about dreams is even dreams that hold meaning, it can be very hard to figure out what the real meaning is. Right? He went through all of his advisors and astrologers and everything, and he was not able to figure it out until Joseph came. Hello, Auntie Nina, welcome to tomorrow. So Joseph also had 2 dreams. Joseph himself. The first dream was that he and his brothers were out in the field bundling sheaves, putting the wheat together and gathering the stalks. And then all of a sudden the sheaves of his brothers get up and bow down to his sheaf. Then he had a second dream. The second dream was that the sun, the moon, and the stars, or the sun, the moon, and 11 stars were bowing down to him. Right, which were a prophetic vision to him being the ruler and everybody bowing down to him, which is eventually what happened. So these dreams were eventually fulfilled once the Jewish people came down to Egypt. Now, here's the question. Who is the moon in the second dream? Right, the 11 stars are the brothers. The sun is his father, and the moon is his mother, right? You have the sun, the moon, father, and mother, right? So the question becomes, how could that be? When did Rachel pass away? When did his mother pass away?
They were coming into the land.
So Rachel passed away, before then, Rachel passed away when she was giving birth to Benjamin. She had already passed away before Joseph even had this dream.
So not everything in the dream was actual.
Exactly. So the Talmud teaches us that this is our second big idea about dreams that we're getting from the Torah. Even prophetic dreams that will come true have elements of nonsense. And you can look at that in text number 2 in the words of the Talmud. Where are we here? Text number 2. Julie, would you like to read text number 2 for us?
I don't have the text.
Text number
read
2 is going to be on page number 8. You have page number 8?
Can I read it?
Oh, in the book?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, hold on. Sorry, I'm eating.
Okay, no worries. We can get back to you after if you'd like.
No, I have it right here.
Okay, perfect.
Oh, it's okay. Rabbi Yochanan taught in the name of Rabbi Shimon ben Yoka. Just as there
Shimon
can
ben
never,
Yochai.
okay. Just as there can never be wheat without chaff mixed in, So too, there can never be a dream without nonsense mixed in. Rabbi Barakaya taught, even though part of a dream may be fulfilled, the entirety of the dream is never fulfilled. The source of these statements is found in the story of Joseph's dreams. Joseph dreamed that the sun and the moon and 11 stars were bowing down to me, referring to his parents and 11 siblings. Genesis 37:9. Yet at the time of the dream, Joseph's mother was already deceased.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. So the Talmud says that from here we see that even prophetic dreams have elements of nonsense. It's a joke. They say, where was Dinah? Joseph had a sister. Where was she in the dream? So we know that Joseph ended up marrying his niece. Dinah was his mother-in-law. And even in a dream, your mother-in-law won't bow down to you. Anyways, that's just a joke. Okay. So the third thing, which is implicit in the biblical stories, how many stories do we have in the Bible of dreams? 10, 15? I didn't count them. But how many people were there and how many dreams were there? A lot. There were a lot of dreams. But there were a lot of nonsense dreams, and that's why we never heard about them. So the third big idea is that not all dreams necessarily have profound meaning, because otherwise we would have heard about them. So looking just at the Torah, we have three big ideas. Number one, you can have a dream, which will be, the underlying theme is that you can have a dream that is going to be a prophecy. Number two is that even a dream which is a prophecy, you might not know how to interpret it. Number three is even a dream which is a prophecy, there are going to be parts that are not true. Number four is there are a lot of dreams that are not prophecy. Okay?
What about a nightmare?
We're going to get to nightmares a little later. It's a good question.
Okay.
We don't see any nightmares in the Chumash. So in summary, what we've learned from this Genesis dreamscape is that dreams can be the real deal, but it won't necessarily be easy to interpret them correctly. There will be there will be details in that dream that are completely nonsensical. So is that clear so far?
Yes.
We're all holding together? Good. Okay. So let's continue our analysis by turning to the Talmud. And we have some interesting things about dreams from the Talmud that are going to further our discussion and take it to the next step. So the problem is that there's going to be a difficulty with the texts that we find in the Talmud because they are frustratingly contradictory. We're going to start with text number 3. Text number 3 and 4 come together, but Leib Moshe, could you read for us text number 3 and text number 4 and pause after text number 3?
A dream is 1/60th of prophecy.
Okay, a dream is 1/60th of prophecy. Does anyone know what that means? Where do we have the numbers 1/60th?
For kashrus, if something falls into something.
Very good. In the laws of kosher, if you have something that falls into something else, if it's less than 1/60th, it's considered not there. And if it's 1/60th or more, then it's considered there's a trace of it there. So we're not talking that like 1/60th of the details of your dream will come true, but that a dream has a trace of prophecy. There's something there. There's some propheticness to the dream. And text that we're going to see also something interesting over here, which is there's another thing that is 1/60th, which is the Talmud says, and we're going to talk about this a little later. Sleep is 1/60th of death, and we're going to get into that. We're going to get into that closer to the end of the Text number 4, Leib Moshe, please.
Rev Yehoshua, the son of Rav Edie, visited the home of Rav Ashi. His host prepared a third-born calf and offered it to him to eat. Rav Ashi responded, "I am observing a fast." They countered, Do you not agree with the ruling of Rav Yehuda that a person may break a self-imposed fast and repay his obligation by fasting on a different day? Rav Ashi replied, this is a fast due to a bad dream. Rav Bar Mechayasa taught in the name of Rav Shama Bar Guria, who taught in the name of Rav that a fast nullifies the portents of a bad dream like fire consumes flax. And Rav Chizda stipulated that the fast is most effective when observed on the day of the dream. Rav Yosef added that such a fast may even be observed on Shabbat.
Thank you, Lev Moshe. So this is big. Let's unpack it a little bit. When are you allowed to fast on Shabbos? You're never allowed to fast on Shabbos. The only fast we fast on Shabbos is if it's Yom Kippur. And the truth is that even if you fast this kind of a dream fast on Shabbos, you have to fast again another day of the week, because to make up for the fact that you fasted on Shabbos. We don't fast on Shabbos, but dreams can be prophetic. And because dreams can be prophetic, if somebody had a negative dream, they are allowed to fast, and fasting, prayer, and supplication are good ways of mitigating the possible effects and outcomes of that dream. I do think that they got this wrong. I don't think it was about Rav Ashi, because it doesn't make sense that the guest would be offering the host food. I think that the translation is wrong, and it should be that Rav Yeshua, the son of Rav Idi, was the one who was offered the food and refused it. So, are dreams real, or are dreams nonsense?
They're real.
Based on this, it seems dreams are pretty real. If you have to fast to make sure it doesn't come true, I would say they're pretty real. Okay, let's move on. And so if you want to, you can look at this later. You'll see on page number 11, I believe. You'll see the Gemara goes through like a whole list of things that if you see them, what they mean. Tefillin, city, haircut, going on a roof, ripping the clothes, entering a marsh, a forest, bloodletting, seeing a donkey, an elephant, a cat, a snake, a camel, a goose, a rooster, a hen, or a goat, and plants and fruits. Things that are good, things that are bad. So if the Talmud is telling you how to interpret your dreams to a certain degree, that means that your dreams definitely do have significance. And text number 5 you can read afterwards as well. I think it's a very worthwhile read. So what do we have so far from the Gemara, from the Talmud, is that dreams are worth taking notice of. Is that right? Everyone with us?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. Lisa, can I please ask you to read for us text number 6?
Rabbi Shmuel bar Nachmani taught in the name of Rabbi Yonatan. People are only shown in their dreams the products of their own thoughts. The Roman emperor once said to Rabbi Yehoshua, the son of Rabbi Hananiah, "You Jews claim to be very wise. Tell me then, what will I see in my dream tonight?" Rabbi Yehoshua replied, "You will see the Persians capture and enslave you and force you to herd pigs with a golden staff." The emperor thought about this vision all day, and at night he saw it in his dream. King Shapur once said to Shmuel, "You Jews claim to be very wise. Tell me then, what will I see in my dream tonight?" Shmuel replied, "You will see the Romans take you captive and force you to grind date pits with a golden mill." The king thought about this vision all day, and at night he saw it in his dream.
Okay, so here you had the Persians and the Romans who were at war one with another. And the king wanted to know, what am I going to dream about tonight? He came to the wisest man he knew, the biggest rabbi, right? Someone who he trusts for his knowledge and his wisdom. And he said, what am I going to dream about tonight? And the rabbi said, you're going to dream that you're going to be enslaved and you're going to be doing a horrible, hard, and disgusting work.
Huh.
And so this was very detailed, a very detailed thought that he gave him to think about, and something that was extremely frightening for him. And he was obsessing with this thought all day. And those kings had very interesting dreams that night.
So does that mean that our dreams can be influenced by suggestions from other people who we respect and take heed to their words?
So I think it's more here about the fact that they were thinking about it all day. And I think the only reason why he thought about it all day is because he heard it from someone he respected.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So then, yeah, that is exactly it. So are dreams nonsense or are dreams prophecy? Should he take heed? Should King Shapur or the Roman emperor have fasted for that
No.
dream?
Couldn't
Dream was
hurt.
His dream was nonsense. So,
I don't think they should have fasted.
right? Okay, so we see from this text that dreams are surprisingly irrelevant. And based on whatever garbage we're thinking about in the day is what we're going to dream about at night. And let's look at text number 7. This is even more interesting. Anne, would you like to read for us text number 7, please?
Sure. A person was troubled about the whereabouts of money that his deceased father left for him.
Oh, 1 second. I need to pause you for a second first and give a little bit of an introduction.
Okay.
In the agricultural land of Israel, there was crops. And so you had to give 10% of your crops to the Kohen and the Levi. And then there was a second tithe that you would take every year. In the cycle of years is a 7-year cycle. In the 7th year, you don't eat any of you don't sell any of the fruit. It's all ownerless and everyone gets to eat it. It's a break from plowing, from sowing, from planting, from everything. So we have 6 years of agricultural work. In the 1st, 2nd, 4th, and 5th year, the second tithe goes to the poor people. In the 3rd year and the 6th year, the second tithe is to be taken by the owner to Jerusalem to eat and enjoy in the presence of the Beis HaMikdash, in the presence of the temple. Now, say that your 10% was a lot of food, and you were not able to go to Jerusalem straight away. The food is going to spoil, the food is going to rot. So here's what you do. You take all the food and you consecrate it onto money. So the money becomes holy and must only be used in Jerusalem and can only be used to buy food. And the rest of the food becomes unholy and regular and can be sold, used, eaten wherever you want. So that money becomes holy money. And part of the reason for this is that even the farmers should have time to spend in holiness and with the greatest of the rabbis in Jerusalem, that we shouldn't create kind of like a second class of the farmers who are illiterate and not spending time with those who are involved all day in spiritual pursuits. Sometimes it would take, if you had a lot of money, it would take a long time to figure. It could be a few weeks even, or a month to spend all that money because you were only allowed to use it for food. So that is what the second tithe is. Yes, Lev Moshe. Did you have a question?
No.
No? Okay. Anne, please continue.
A person was troubled about the whereabouts of money that his deceased father left for him. He dreamed that his father told him exactly how much money it was and where it could be found, but that it was consecrated as Maser Sheni. He went to this specified place and indeed found a specified sum of money. The sages instructed this person that the contents of the dream are relevant and he need not treat the money as Maser Sheni.
Okay.
That's
okay. Look at that. Look at that. Here we have what would you have done if you had a dream that your parent came to you in a dream and said, I have a crypto wallet that I never told you about. Here's the username, here's the password, but all the money is charity.
I'm giving that to charity.
Right?
Instructions that specific? It's weird.
Right? It is, no? Would you use that money to buy yourself a new car? But over here we have it clear, and this is halacha. If it was really Meiser Sheni money, and he would use it for his own things, that is an offense, that is against halacha. But the rabbis told him that he doesn't need to keep it as Meiser Sheni. So the dreams have significance?
Yes.
In that case,
Maybe he found the money.
Yeah, but he
He
was
found the money.
directed to give it to charity.
So this one, the actual reason why this in this particular case, we can discuss afterwards why specifically this case they told him that that he doesn't have to listen, and why that works halachically. That's a longer discussion beyond the scope of this. But the practical answer is they told him you do not have to listen to your dreams. You don't have to
Okay.
take any actions of it. You can keep the money and it's yours. Even though everything else of the dream, he found the exact place and he found the exact amount of money. But the rest, finders keepers. So all of this leaves us with a big contradiction. On the one hand, we said that dreams are very important and dreams mean something. And if you have a bad dream, fast, because you want to make sure that you're averting the decree. Because if you have a bad dream, it could mean bad things are coming. On the other hand, we said that dreams mean absolutely nothing. And if you have a bad dream, don't
Excuse
worry
me.
about it. Because,
If I
yes.
have a bad dream, I call that a nightmare.
Okay, good. If you have a nightmare, what is that? It's a figment of your imagination. Your subconscious was working too hard throughout the day. There might be traumas there, or what have you. And it's just nonsense. And don't worry about it. And don't lose any brain cells on it.
Well, when
So-
I have a nightmare, I wake up and I'm like freaking out, and I'm like looking around, where am I? And then I figure out it was just a nightmare. So instead of dreaming, I had a bad dream. So I call that a nightmare because it scared me.
Right. And then what happens? You wake up in the morning like, oh, pinched myself. Baruch Hashem. It was just a dream. I'm here. And I'm
Right.
fine. And we get on with our day. So how would you answer this contradiction?
I would keep the money. I
I
would.
mean, the conceptual contradiction, whether dreams have meaning or dreams do not have meaning.
Um,
I
in
think
some cases they do, and in some cases they don't.
Okay.
That's
I'd keep asking around.
You
The
keep
best out
asking
of three.
Okay. You say we need more text. Anyone else have an interesting idea?
Depends on the source of the dream.
Depends on the source of the dream. And how do you find out the source of the dream? It would be a lot easier if dreams came with credits at the end,
right.
This was real.
Footnotes.
This one's a nightmare. Okay. So the good news is that the Talmud itself addresses this contradiction. And we're going to look at text number 8. Bela Esther, can you read for us student page 20, text number 8?
Yes, Rava raised the contradiction between two verses. In one verse, God says, I speak with the prophet in a dream. But the second verse states, dreams speak falsely. There are two types of dreams. Some come by means of an angel, and some come by means of a demon.
Okay. So it depends. If your dream comes from an angel, then there's something to it. And if your dream comes from a demon, then there's nothing to it. Okay, we're already getting ahead of ourselves. I think that's lesson 3, angels and demons. But if your dream comes from an angel, then it is real and it is to be taken heed. And if your dream comes from a demon, then it is not. So now we're going to go back to that teaser about sleep being 1/60th of death, sleep being a trace of death. Let's do a little fun exercise over here. Imagine if you would take a person, and this is a horrible thing, never do this, but if you would take someone and put them into a dark box and just poke a few holes in it, and those few holes are the only way that they are able to interact with the world. Wouldn't that be sad?
Yes.
Horrifying.
It would be horrifying. Well, guess what? That's exactly what happened to us. Our soul was stuck inside a skull, which is hard and dark. And there are a few holes poked inside, and that's how we interact with the world, right? We have our eyes, our nose, our mouth, and our ears, and that's the only way that we can interact with whatever's outside of us.
Well, that answers a lot.
Isn't that sad, right? We only have our own perception. But when what happens when a person dies is that the soul is uncoupled from the body, and the soul is now able to experience everything on a soul level without the skull boxing it in.
I like that.
What happens
Yeah,
at
me
night?
too.
What happens at night is a trace of that. The soul doesn't, God forbid, leave the body, but when the conscious mind and us trying to interpret all the stimuli that are being thrown at us from all over are quiet, our soul gets, imagine it was like a little cup, and then like the soul gets to peek out from on top at nighttime, right? So that's what happens at night. There's like a little bit of an uncoupling, and the soul gets to experience a little bit more than we typically do during the day. And the question becomes, where does your soul go to, and what is your soul experiencing when you're sleeping? If your soul is hanging out with angels, you'll have angelic dreams. And if your soul is hanging out with demons, you'll have demonic dreams.
And what if you have no dreams? You're just kind of sitting there.
Okay, wait. Well then, actually, so I'm going to get into something that I wasn't sure if I would or would not get into, but it's a fascinating piece. So the when we get to the Alter Rebbe's explanation, please remind me to bring up about defragmentation. Because the Gemara says, and we'll get to this then, the Gemara says that someone who does not have a dream in 7 days is a wicked person.
Oh no.
It doesn't say if you didn't remember your dream. It says if you didn't have a dream.
Okay.
If you didn't have a dream in 7 days, you're a Rasha. What does that mean? And what do dreams have to do with being good or being bad? So we'll get to that. We'll get to that when we get to the Alter Rebbe. So let's look at the previous Rebbe, Rabbi Yosef Yitzchak Schneerson, said this so beautifully. Let's look at text number 9. The English does not do justice to the previous Rebbe. The previous Rebbe's penmanship, I just have to explain to you for a minute about the previous Rebbe. If you read his writings, and even the translations of his writings are beautiful too. But I was once reading a description of his. He went with his father to France, and while they were there, they went to see the paintings of Raffaello, who was a master painter. He painted some palace of someone. And anyways, he was an incredible painter. And there were 3 paintings they saw. And the previous Rebbe is describing, one of them was a scene of a war. And he's trying to explain what kind of an incredible painter this Raffaello was. That you see the victory on the eyes and the face of the person who is on his horse, raising his sword, about to slay the other one. You see the fear in the eyes of the person who's about to die, and you see the people all around. And you look at this picture and you can see the energy of the battlefield. And the second one was a courtroom. And he says you see the plaintiff and the prosecutor, and their facial expressions are just exuding this energy that you look at it and you feel like you're there, and you can feel the tension in the room, and you can see the judge's thoughtfulness trying to figure out what's going to be, and you can see that on the prosecutor's face, you can see him cunningly coming up with his next accusation. And you see the prayer on the face of the defendant. And the third one was a field, and he's describing the serenity that is just jumping out of that page. And I finished reading, and I thought to myself, was Raffaello a great painter, or is the previous Rebbe an incredible writer? Because it's so much harder to get, like, the previous Rebbe made me feel like I was looking at that scene. His description was just so warm and vivid that I felt like I was looking at a painting. So that's the previous Rebbe, Rabbi Yosef Yitzchak Schneerson. Let's look at text number 9. Do we have a volunteer? Text number 9.
I'll volunteer.
Please.
Okay. At a certain time during sleep, souls rise up to the heavenly academy, each soul going to the hall it is associated with. In general terms, the location in the heavenly palace where a person's soul rests at night is commensurate with the spiritual stature they have achieved with their daytime divine service. More specifically, if a person observed a mitzvah, studied Torah, or prayed in a more beautiful and complete manner that day, or went to sleep with words or thoughts of Torah on their minds, they merit a loftier location in heaven. The heavenly palace contains hallways, colonnades, lounges, and halls in which the soul can rest when it rises to heaven to draw new life during sleep.
Okay, thank you, Anne. So what happens is when we go to sleep, our soul goes up to heaven. And there are different places that it goes depending on the service that we did that day. Our spiritual service is going to determine the place where our soul will go to that night. The soul goes wherever it, what did he say? Wherever it is associated with. The soul goes to the hole it's associated with. So if we associated ourselves with a lot of mitzvahs that day, then our soul goes up to a very lofty place. If we didn't associate ourselves with mitzvahs that way, then let's look at text number and then we will we'll wrap up this part. So text number 10. Bela, so would you like to read for us text number 10, please?
While a
Page 22.
person sleeps, the soul rises to the level of the holy angels and receives certain information, learns new things, and then returns to its place. This is an experience of connection to holiness.
Thank you very much. So this is from the Zohar, the original text of Kabbalah, the first text of Kabbalah. That's the Zohar. The Zohar says that when we sleep, our soul rises to the level of the holy angels and receives certain information. So putting these pieces together, what emerges is that when a soul is acting holy and spiritual, it goes to a good place and learns good things. And those dreams that you have then are coming from holy places. So they may be premonitions, they may be prophecy, they may be things to think about and to take heed. However, if a soul was not so involved in those kinds of holy pursuits, then it gets stuck in this twilight zone between the body and the heavens. And that is where it's susceptible to these demonic thoughts and experiences. So it really depends on, what does it depend on? Whether our dreams are holy or not holy.
Whether you have been holy.
Whether you have been holy. So at the very least, there is a place between the demons and the angels, which is if the soul is beyond this twilight zone where they're in this dark abyss, shall we say, then the soul is susceptible to just random nonsensical dreams. And so it turns out that there are 3 levels of dreams. Number 1 is good, meaningful dreams that come from angels. Number 2 is negative, disturbing dreams that come from demons. And number 3 is neutral, nonsensical dreams that are produced by the mind's thoughts that day. So, have we gained some clarity from the Talmud, from the Zohar, and from the previous Rebbe? We're getting somewhere?
Yeah.
We can start classifying things now, okay? So based on this, we can answer the Talmudic contradiction very easily, right? So the dreams that are premonitions, like the dreams from the Torah, the dreams that mean something, the dreams that have prophecy to them, are dreams that are coming from angels. And the dreams that are to be forgotten about, the dreams that you should not be thinking about, are dreams that come from the demons. Now, here is very nicely, we've learned this beautiful distinction and clarity between these 3 different types of dreams. And I have a practical question for you. When you and I dream, how do we know if it's coming from the demons, the angels, or from the nonsense? Right? That's the $1 million question here. And like we said before, wouldn't it be easy if it came at the end with credits?
Yeah.
Right? Like, this dream came from the demons. This dream came from the angels. This is just what you were thinking about this morning while you were eating breakfast. That would be a lot easier. So there are 2 major approaches that we are going to look at to answer this. Approach number 1 is to look at the dream, and approach number 2 is to look at the dreamer. And then we're going to add some of our own explanations afterwards. It's from the Alter Rebbe from Tanya. Okay, so approach number one, look at the dream. So the Abarbanel. Anybody here heard of the Abarbanel?
No.
No, the Abarbanel was one of the Rishonim. He wrote a commentary on the Torah, and is very famous, very interesting. And he actually writes that he was once on a ship somewhere, and he was taken captive. And he was in prison for some time. I don't remember exactly all the details, but he wrote that the prisoners, him and all the rest of the prisoners, were given matzah to eat. And he writes, actually, based on that experience and his understanding of history, he writes that it was not such a novelty that the Jews ate matzah before we left, because matzah was the food of the prisoners. Matzah, as we all know, takes a long time to digest, and you don't have to eat all that much of it to get full. And it was just easy to make. So the big chiddush of the matzah that the Jewish people ate when we left Egypt is the fact that we made sure that it was baked within 18 minutes. But matzah as a flatbread was eaten by prisoners. So that's just an interesting thing about the Abarbanel. He was taken by pirates. So he says, one of the things that he says is that if you have a clear, vivid dream, it's a sign that the dream may be meaningful. If it's clear as day, and it's a very clear dream, that's a sign to maybe think about. The Ritva was also one of the great commentaries of the Talmud. He wrote that a dream which jars or shakes you to your core, a dream that you wake up feeling extremely moved by, is a sign that it may be something to take heed. And the Alter Rebbe, Rabbi Shneur Zalman of the Adi, writes that if you have a dream repeating, I think he writes 3 times, but multiple times, is a sign that there may be some meaning there. So yes, there are people who have meaningful dreams, and we're going to see soon that the dreams that we have are not necessarily meaningful. But in a regular situation of a regular dream, don't pay any attention to it. But if it has one of these 3 things, if it's clear, vivid, if you wake up feeling extremely moved by it, or if you have a dream repeating multiple times, pay a little bit of attention. Another thing that I'm going to throw in over here is about dreams of deceased relatives. So many people have had dreams of relatives, parents that have passed on. And I've seen something about it that it depends whether you felt happy and good and they looked happy and good, or whether you felt uneasy and they didn't look happy. So if they did not look happy and you have this like uneasy feeling about the encounter, it is often a sign that there's something that they're asking for in memory of their soul. Was Shiva done correctly? Was Kaddish said? Was learning done in their honor? Were mitzvahs done in their honor? Things like that are things to think about. If it's a dream where they're smiling at you and you feel just so good and so loved by that dream, then that's just them coming to tap you on the back and say you're doing good. It's a treat that we get, and it is coming from them. Approach number 2 is to look at the dreamer. This is the Alter Rebbe based on Tanya, and he gives us another fascinating approach, which is, who is the person who is dreaming? Is this the type of person who would ascend on high? Someone who would be hanging out with the angels? Or is it somebody who is a regular person like me and you, that not necessarily are we always involved with our whole day with meaningful and godly pursuits, right? We are constantly thinking about random things. We are so distracted. We are looking at the news and our WhatsApps and our friends and in Facebook and Instagram and everything that's going on. And our heads are filled with narishkeit, right? Our heads are filled with garbage. So chances are that's what we're going to dream about. The Tzemach Tzedek, the grandson of the Alter Rebbe, writes in page text number 13. You're welcome to read the. We're skipping some of the text. You're welcome to read them afterwards. So, Mike, would you like to read for us text number 13?
Be happy
Page
to.
27.
I heard explicitly from my grandfather and teacher of blessed memory that one should not be worried at all about such matters like dreams. The teachings in the Talmud that lend great significance to dreams only apply to people of great spiritual stature whose thoughts are distant from these matters. If this person has an uncharacteristic experience, it must be divinely orchestrated, and it is therefore cause for concern. However, a person whose thoughts regularly wander to such matters has no reason for concern. My grandfather repeated this many times. It would dismiss people that were miserable as a result. You should completely ignore this and be joyful.
Okay, beautiful, right? So those of us who are waiting for 9 o'clock so that we can watch the next murder on TV, right? If we think about something if we dream about something at night that's not so happy, well, maybe it's not coming from anywhere significant or important. Us whose minds are dreaming all the time. Only holy, very special people who are thinking Torah a whole day and whose souls are ascending on high, so their dreams are very meaningful. I want to add, I think we have enough time for this. Wow, look at that. Look at that. I have enough time to add something. Those of us who are with us, often we go over time, and it looks like today we might finish on time. So this is incredible. So the Alter Rebbe writes in Tanya that basically this fits also, modern psychology fits quite nicely into this. So we're thinking thoughts during the day all the time. We're just thinking thoughts the whole time. Our mind is constantly wandering, constantly moving thought to thought. And so our soul for itself does not need thoughts. Our soul is a soul. But our brain is constantly thinking. And we're experiencing our connection with our soul through thoughts. Usually words or pictures. But there are constantly thoughts going through our mind. So what happens to all of that? And especially all the stuff that we're not conscious of. I mean, we've mentioned this before many times in courses. I don't remember the exact percentage, but a big percentage of our brain's function is to limit the stimuli that we are noticing. Imagine if you were walking around and you noticed how many times each person around you was blinking. I mean, you go crazy. Right? Imagine if you saw the second hand that everybody's watch ticking. You go nuts. So our brain is there to limit the things that we take in and take notice of. But there's really a lot going on around us that we are perceiving, that we are that is coming in. And so at nighttime, when we sleep, we are given the blessing of sleep. That at nighttime, while we sleep, everything, our system does kind of like a defrag. Like if you have a computer, sometimes it's good to defragment your computer where it takes all the files from wherever they need to be and stores everything nicely. So the brain does that also every night, and it goes through all the thoughts that we had during the day. They all have to go somewhere, right? Otherwise, we're just going to go crazy, because once our RAM is overloaded, right? Once our accessible memory, our instant recall is overloaded, then we crash. So we have to file everything away and then put it away nicely. So that's what our soul does while we sleep. Our brain is working, filing everything away, working through sad things that have happened, happy things that have happened. And it's interesting from my understanding, I may be wrong of this, but from my understanding, anyone here familiar with EMDR?
What? Yeah.
EMDR, it's a psychological, like psychologists use it, some that are trained. It's a modality of healing where they'll talk about a specific
It's
traumatic
used for
incident.
trauma.
Yeah,
It's used for trauma healing. Yeah.
Yeah, for trauma healing, and it works best on isolated incidents. And then the guy will have like a stick and just wave it back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and have your eyes going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And that itself triggers a process in the brain to diffuse the energy of that memory. And I believe that that's also connected with the REM sleep, right? Your deepest sleep is your REM sleep, your rapid eye movement while your eyes are going back and forth really quickly. During that time, they say that during that time is when you dream. While you have that deep sleep with your rapid eye movement, when your eyes are going back and forth. And also that is very useful for diffusing the traumas of the day. It's like your own internal process of EMDR. So for the soul to go up, the soul first has to be free. Because whatever your soul is involved in, that's what you're going to be dreaming about. So for most of us, well, what are we dreaming? We're dreaming because all of the process of filing everything away and storing everything where it needs to be. So those are the thoughts that are coming through our dreams. Once we've finished filing everything away and sorting everything away, then our soul, then we are able to accept and experience the learning and the beauty and the joy that our soul is experiencing up on high. Does that make sense? So someone who did not have any random thoughts during the day, when they go to sleep, they hit the pillow, their soul is free, their mind is free, and they're able to be a conduit just for whatever is coming through. But someone who has a lot of random thoughts that need to be processed and put away, that's what their dreams are going to be about. Their dreams are going to be about whatever is being filed. And that's why it says a wicked person, someone who did not dream in 7 days is a wicked person. Why? Because if their system is so clogged, because they've been so involved in such schmutz, right? They've been involved with such dirt the entire day that their system did not even get to start filing everything away because so that's someone who's called wicked. That's the correlation between wicked and dreams. But if you don't remember your dreams, don't worry about it. So that is the a little bit of the Kabbalistic science behind why some people have meaningful dreams, some people do not have meaningful dreams. It depends on what process is your system doing. So let's get to the last section. Go ahead.
Could I just say something, please, about dreaming?
Mm-hmm.
And that is that people sometimes think they don't have a dream, but we do dream, but we don't remember. So that's a factor also, perhaps.
Right. Thank you, Antonina. So let's finish this off with some dream lifters, right? So what we've said so far is that for an average person, dreams are typically not highly intentional, rather coincidental. You might have a good dream, you might not have a good dream. It's a bit open-ended, and we don't necessarily know what it's going to be. Chances are, don't worry about it.
Okay.
Right? Unless you're a really holy person, then start worrying. And let me know, I need some blessings. So is there something we can do to improve our dreams? Even if we're not yet on the spiritual level that they're going to mean anything, but maybe we can have happier dreams. What can we do for that? And the answer is yes, there is. There are several ways, several things we can do to make our sleep and our dreaming experience much more pleasant. Number one is the dream prayer. There's a prayer for dreams. There is a prayer for dreams. Every major holiday, we do the priestly blessing, and there's a special prayer that we pray towards the end of that while the Kohanim are singing. There's a special prayer, and we have it here in text number 14.
14.
Text number 14. Lisa, would you like to read for us text number 14, page 29?
Master of the universe, I am yours, and my dreams are yours. I have dreamed a dream, and I do not know what it is. May it be your will, my God, and the God of my fathers, that all my dreams concerning myself or concerning any other Jew shall be for the good, whether dreams I dreamed about others, or whether about myself, or whether others dreamed about me. Whoop. Are you still there?
We're still here.
Okay. If they are good dreams, strengthen them and reinforce them, and may they be fulfilled in me and in them, like the dreams of Yosef. But if they require a remedy, heal them like Hezekiah, king of Judah, from his illness, like Miriam, the prophetess from her leprosy, like Naaman from his leprosy, like the waters of Marah by Moses, and like the waters of Jericho by Elisha. As you changed the curse of the wicked, Balaam, from a curse into a blessing, so shall you change all my dreams concerning myself and concerning all of Israel to good. Guard me, be gracious to me, and favor me.
Beautiful, thank you. And if you actually did have a concerning dream, this is a beautiful prayer we say at least 3 times a year, and on each of the major holidays, all the Yom Tovs. And if you had a specific concerning dream, you can come to shul any day of the week, and you can say that during the Shemona Esrei, during Chazaras Hashatz, the Chazan's repetition of the Shemona Esrei. So that's one thing. Number 2 is to enhance your spiritual connection, ensuring that we go to sleep. Had a friend. So it says in the beginning of Shulchan Aruch. Shulchan Aruch, the code of Jewish law starts, be strong like a lion for the service of your king. Now we had once a Farbrengen, and there was one of my classmates, and he was saying, how can I wake up strong like a lion to serve Hashem? And my teacher, God bless him, it was awesome. My teacher looked at him and he said, if you go to sleep like a horse, how do you expect to wake up like a lion? So the way we prepare ourselves for sleep is very important. And there are specific things we can do for that. So the Rebbe wrote a letter to someone who was suffering from nightmares. And text number 16, Leib Moshe, would you like to read text number 16 for us?
Regarding disturbing dreams. It is well known, and the sages teach about this, that people only see in their dreams the products of their own thoughts. Dreams are the result of idle daytime thoughts, and when the cause is reduced, the result will automatically be minimized. You should be particular about reciting the bedtime Shema and ensure that the mezuzah of your bedroom is kosher.
Okay, so we see over here 3 things the Rebbe told this person. Number 1, make sure you're thinking positive things during the day, right? So shut off your news and start hanging around positive people and doing and thinking positive things. Number 1. Number 2, prepare yourself properly for bed and say the Shema before you go to sleep. And number 3, make sure the place where you're sleeping is a holy and spiritual place. Make sure that you have a proper mezuzah on the door of your bedroom. This was the Rebbe's advice to this man to stop having nightmares. There's also one thing that I want to show you that's, I believe, is in here, one of the texts, if I'm not mistaken. Ooh. Oh, it was a text over here. It's not. Okay. Well, there was one. There are many instances, letters of people who wrote into the Lubavitcher Rebbe about dreams that they had. There's one that I saw recently that I thought they included here. If you find it, please let me know. I don't think it's in here. Where this person was saying that they kept having this dream that they were looking around and they were fed up with the injustice of the way the world is run, and they felt that they had to ascend. They felt like they had to ascend from here. And this man is trying to figure out what's going on, and he's having these, scary thoughts about it. And he wrote a letter to the Rebbe. And the Rebbe's first response was, don't worry about it. It's a dream and you're not so holy. So don't worry about it. It means nothing. But the Rebbe said, since we're already here anyways, I'm going to interpret it for you. This is clearly not a message about the world at large, because you have no power and no say in the way that the world is run. There's nothing you can do about that. But there's a world in here, which you can. And the dream is trying to tell you, that it's upset. Your soul is upset with the way you are unjustly running your world, the dichotomy between what the Torah wants of you and does not want of you. And to do what is just and right in the eyes of God. And this that your soul is telling you that you have to ascend from here, that means go higher, elevate yourself, and do more of what God wants of you. So one conclusion, one big takeaway that I want to take away from this is that if we ever have dreams about Torah observance or doing a mitzvah or doing something good for someone else, improving, we can definitely, even if we're not so holy, we can definitely take that as a sign to take the next step, whatever that may be. For someone, it might be to say Shema, someone it might be to smile more at others. For someone, it might be to put tefillin, someone it might be to light Shabbos candles, kosher, Shabbos, a mezuzah, whatever it is. Each person knows what their next step is. And if you have dreams like that, definitely take them seriously. Did we get to everyone's questions about dreams? I think we did. Dreams
What about the
relatives?
dreams? What about the dreams that you don't remember? I mean, how do you know you dreamt?
So you should definitely not worry about dreams that you don't remember. There might have been good dreams. Let's throw it to the positive. There might have been happy dreams.
Yeah, but I don't remember
So
them.
dreams about relatives we discussed, and about your father and the interpretations. Yes. So the Gemara says that if you have a dream, the interpretation does matter. It seems like your father was a pretty holy man.
Well, he was a Holocaust survivor, so that makes him one of the Kedoshim.
It does. It absolutely does. Yes.
Did you ever get to meet him?
Did I ever meet him?
I don't know. I don't think so.
I don't know.
Hmm.
I think it was at a time when everyone was locked down between when
Right. That's
when
why
you
we
came
got, that's how we
back
got to you, and I got to you in the first place with my mom.
Right.
And I don't know if you ever got to see him. Yeah.
I don't think so. I think I spoke with him on the phone once or twice.
Yes. Yes, you did. That I know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. The rest of the questions we're going to get to in the next few weeks. So, okay. Wow. What a trip. Are there any questions that you have that were not addressed or not answered?
Does
Okay,
everything
kick off
we
with any?
discussed tonight only apply to Jewish souls?
Does what we discussed only apply to Jewish souls? That is a very good question. I am not a maven in non-Jewish souls. I will assume that many of the principles apply, though I cannot tell you for sure. I'm having a hard enough time grappling with the Jewish soul part of it. But it's a good question. It's a good question. If anyone else has any other questions, you have my email, you have my phone number. This has been a trip. We've learned a lot over here. We learned about the biblical stories. We learned about the Talmud. We saw sometimes dreams are taken seriously and other times not. And we explained that there are different sources for dreams: angels, demons, and imagination. We presented the Hasidic view that most people dream on a lower level and can therefore disregard their dreams as highly insignificant. And we studied wisdom from the Rebbe about how to be more in control of our dreams for the good. Now, when Mashiach comes, it says we will wake up and realize that we've been dreaming the whole time. We say every Shabbos, Shir HaMa'alot. In the benching and the grace after meals, we say we were like dreamers. Then, when Mashiach comes, our mouths will be filled with smiles and we will realize that we were like dreamers. Why were we like dreamers? Because when you dream, opposites are true. You can dream things that make no sense in real life, but they work in dreams. You can be flying. It's a very common dream. Flying, free floating. So there are two worldviews. One is that there is nothing other than God. Everything we see is godliness wherever we go and whatever we do. The other worldview is that God is not so important, and what's in front of me is disconnected, God forbid, to say, that is completely unrelated to God and disconnected from God. And while we're in exile here, while we're in Galus, we flip-flop back and forth between those two things. And we have those two realities within ourselves where we're constantly fighting with, am I real? Is God real? What really matters to me? When Mashiach comes, we're going to be in that reality where we will see that everything is God and everything is good. And we will realize that while we were in Galus, while we were in exile, we were just dreaming. May that day come very soon. Before we take any questions and before we wrap this up, next week, join us for Stars and Signs, Astrology and the Zodiac. What role do the stars play in our lives? Is there such thing as destiny and fate? How does that jive with free choice? What does the real meaning of Mazel Tov? Join us next week for that and more. Before we go, we always like to wrap up with what is something that you learned today that you found interesting or did not know before. Leib Moshe.
For me, it was the understanding that dreams come from different sources and that we have to be careful about how we interpret dreams that we receive, and we have to be cognizant of those forces. I also want to just take a quick minute to say, Brett, it was very nice to see you again. It's been a long time.
You too.
Thank you. And Julie, what's something that you found interesting from tonight?
All of it.
All of it.
Yes, everything we went over. I did not think about, I did not know about, but I'm learning a lot and I'm grateful for that.
Okay, very good. Lisa.
That I'm not holy enough for dreams to matter.
Say that one more time. It was a little choppy.
I'm not holy enough for my dreams to matter.
Okay, very
That
good.
takes a
Thank
load
you.
off.
Right, it does, doesn't it? Anne.
I loved the mashal of when we were in a box poking holes and we only see the world through that eyes, and at the end we will see it through everything. I kind of like that.
Beautiful. Thank you, Brett.
Well, I was interested in the idea that some dreams have no meaning at all and you should forget them. The
Okay.
emphasis on forgetting the dreams made an impression on me.
Okay, very good. Mike, if you're in a position to, would you like to unmute yourself and share something that you found interesting from today?
Sure, yeah, I just wanted to thank you, Rabbi. It was a beautiful session. And just the way that you synthesized the material and managed to create a kind of umbrella overview that these are the various modes of interpretation was very meaningful. And obviously all of the Rebbe's comments and everything, and just well done. So I wanted to thank you. It's good.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. And Auntie Nina, what is something that you enjoyed from this class tomorrow? For those who are wondering, Auntie Nina is my aunt, my mother's sister, and she lives in Tasmania, where it is already tomorrow.
Yes,
Wow.
and it's cold, it's very cold, but there's sunshine today and no rain.
Wow.
So, it's 11 o'clock here, and that's the time when I say Yichich Melech with all the ladies around the world. But I'll say it after we hang up. Dreams are fascinating, but I try not to involve myself too much with them and have good thoughts. So that was very important for me to just monitor my thoughts during the day, and if they're down, pick them up.
Very good. Thank you
So
all for
that's it.
joining. Thank you for adding. Thank you for asking. Thank you for answering. Thank you all for your input. This was
Thank you,
awesome.
Rabbi.
And I hope that we will continue ending at 9 o'clock. This is a good start. Take care, everyone. And look out for that email with the additional information and resources should come tomorrow. Have a
Thank
wonderful evening and dream well. Take care. Good night, everyone.